Hello, everyone. Welcome back to The Conscious Spirit. This is Lori, as you probably well know. She's done a few videos with me already. I'm very excited to have her back.
Hey, everybody.
We are, this is another request for Ghost Casebook. And the name of the video is The Ghost of Las Vegas Strip, Horseshoe, Flamingo, Venetian, Circus Circus, and Hotel Apache. So we're really excited to get into it. I have no idea. I've never seen Ghost Casebook. Have you seen Ghost Casebook? You have. Okay.
Yeah,
All
I've
right.
seen a couple. She's more of a storyteller.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
But she does go to some locations, but I have to say she is very good at getting all of the details.
So she does
She does her research.
Okay. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So as far as you know, you haven't seen this video though.
I have not seen this video.
This particular one. Okay. Well, before we go any further, please, everyone, if you haven't already subscribed, please do like and share this video. Tell your friends about us. It all helps our channel grow and helps us reach more and more people. So I want to say thank you right now before you do it. And might as well just jump right in, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Ooh. Ghost Casebook.
From its humble roots as a desert oasis and railway stop, Las Vegas has grown to become a major resort city, known primarily for its casinos, shopping, entertainment, and nightlife. Beneath the glitz, glamour, and gambling tables of the world-famous Las Vegas Strip lies something sinister, something paranormal, and Las Vegas is arguably one of the most haunted cities in North America. From haunted hotels and museums to tragic fires and ghostly mobsters, welcome to the ghosts of the Las Vegas Strip.
Horseshoe Las Vegas, formerly Bally's and MGM Grand.
The Horseshoe Las Vegas originally opened as the MGM Grand Hotel and Casino on December 4th, 1973. The site was previously occupied by the Three Queens Motel and the Bonanza Hotel, but these were demolished to make way for the MGM Grand with its 26 stories and 2,100 rooms.
Wow.
At the time, this was one of the world's largest hotels and casinos with over 900 slot machines. The opening ceremony was a glittering affair attended by many stars, including Cary Grant, Jane Powell, Howard Keel, and Shirley MacLaine, who were entertained by Las Vegas legend Dean Martin. But this is a hotel with a dark past. Stories of ghosts, unexplained phenomena, and replays of tragic events still linger in the hotel's rooms and casino floor. Shortly after 7 a.m. on November 21st, 1980, emergency services received a call about a fire at the MGM Grand Hotel on South Las Vegas Boulevard. Records show that 5,000 people were staying in the hotel at that time. The cause of the fire was a refrigeration unit in the deli. Wiring behind the wall had been burning undetected for hours. A supervisor witnessed what he thought was a flickering light, but it was actually a wall of flames. A flash fire moved at 19 feet per second into the casino, and the toxic smoke from the blaze quickly whisked its way into the hotel's air conditioning system.
Yikes.
The fire spread to the lobby, where flammable materials including wallpaper, PVC piping, glue and plastic mirrors fueled the fire, culminating in a massive fireball that blew out the main entrance facing the Las Vegas Strip. Within 6 minutes of the fire being noticed, the entire casino floor was ablaze. 18 people lost their lives on the casino floor that day. 350 firefighters responded to the incident, and a massive helicopter rescue effort pulled 1,000 people from the roof of the hotel. In total, 85 people were killed, including 78 guests and 7 employees. 75 died from smoke inhalation and carbon monoxide poisoning. 60 of the victims were found between floors number 19 and 24, where the smoke concentration was the highest. 9 guests were found trapped in elevators, and at least 3 people fell from the building. Over 700 people were injured. Since this tragic day in 1980, a number of guests and employees have witnessed strange occurrences throughout this rebuilt property. Shadowy dark shapes and ghostly figures have been seen moving through the hallways and stairwells, accompanied by the sounds of disembodied cries, screams, and coughing. On one occasion, reception received a phone call from a terrified guest who had witnessed a pair of disembodied feet hovering above the floor in her room. Another ghostly manifestation takes place inside the guest rooms on the higher floors. Several guests have reported seeing ghostly figures that appear as solid people lying quietly on the bed as they enter the room. Within moments, the figures have faded away. Are these the apparitions of those who died so tragically in the fire, inhaling the toxic smoke in their last moments? Some housekeeping staff are known to carry rosary beads when servicing these rooms. Other areas of the hotel that are said to be active include the casino floor itself. Shadowy figures with a grainy appearance move quickly past the gambling tables and slots, then disappear suddenly. They do not fade away. Are these the figures of those who perished in the fire? Do they remain where they died, trying to escape the inferno by dashing across the casino floor to safety? Many are convinced the residual energy of those caught in the fire is permanently etched into the casino structure. There are 2 rather distinct apparitions that haunt the hotel and casino.
I want to stop this real quick, just because there's so much. I'm like, writing things down, and I thought, so definitely when there's that much, like the horror of that, or some people, like it feels like those people that were on the bed, they didn't even know, like they inhaled the smoke and they just sort of went from sleep to death. Maybe not even knowing.
Yeah. You also got to consider it's Vegas. I mean, they could have been impaired.
Drunk and sure.
You know, like they just, right? That's
absolutely.
She did say it right. Like it is very residual.
Yes.
I don't, you know.
And part of that too is, I don't think it's all residual. I think there are some, and maybe she's going to start talking here, but like the one where the feet were hovering above the bed. So that could be when it was the other hotel, there was something there. There was a floor there, you know, there was something there that the person was actually standing on. They're not actually floating. You know, they were standing on something prior. Does that make sense?
Jumping on the bed.
Sure. You know, there are things that could, certainly there's a lack of grids. There's no grids or very little. You could also be seeing into other dimensions. Some of the things, I mean, there's so much going on here, and it could be just everything's going on there. Like we could name everything that we know of, and it's a lot of energy. Yes, a lot of energy.
Definitely feel that
shattered pieces and soul pieces, and just the trauma of that. And sometimes when, again, I think she might be getting to it now. She said something about 3 of the most haunted, or something. I can't remember exactly what she said. But when it's a sudden, quick death like that, sometimes we just don't. Our soul will stay there. It just kind of doesn't recover from it. Although this many years later, you think it would, but it doesn't always. But some might have decided to stay. They just didn't want to go for the same reasons always, or it was just so fast and quick. So we'll see how much Uh,
Possible that they don't even know. They just think that they're still there,
yeah, exactly.
right?
Very interesting. Okay, we'll continue. If you're ready to continue.
Yep.
The ghost of an elderly woman who appears smoking a cigarette and wearing a long floral sundress, perhaps from the 1970s. She is always seen sitting at slot machines, gazing directly ahead of her before her dress morphs into flames and she suddenly vanishes.
Wow. That's
Potentially staff who survived the fire may help to explain this lady's presence.
interesting.
Employees evacuating the casino were shocked to see guests who refused to leave the slot machines they were playing, despite being begged to leave.
Okay, wait.
Records
Talk about addiction there.
Yes.
I mean, you don't want to leave that machine. You're about to hit it big or whatever, like, or maybe you have some money in there and you don't want to lose it, but wow. Wow, it's going up in flames here, get out, and people aren't leaving.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. Those people wear diapers sitting there.
Oh my God, yeah, I've heard
They
that.
really do. They wear adult diapers sitting at those slot machines.
So they don't have to move.
Because they keep thinking that the more money they put in, like it's filling up or
and
something.
The next one,
not.
Right? So if they leave, the next person sits down and that next person's going to hit the big one.
Yeah.
That's enough that they would just allow themselves to burn up. That is so sad. That is really sad.
showing that 7 females perished on the casino floor.
7 females.
The second apparition is that of a little boy who has been witnessed by staff and guests in the hallways of the 23rd floor. Sometimes he appears as a solid figure, around 8 years old, and wearing blue shorts. Some have witnessed the poor lad crying out for his mother.
Mm-hmm. What I get with that, what came in really strong was that he was in the room with Nanny and Mom and Dad went out to party and gamble and whatever.
Oh, boy.
We'll see.
Approached, he simply disappears. 14 people died on this floor, 9 males and 5 females, with the majority of the victims found in the hallway and stairs.
In a panic.
Many employees refuse to use the service elevator as they hear crying, shouting and screams in the vicinity. Several employees lost their lives in the elevator during the fire, and it may be that their colleagues today sense the torment of those who lost their lives so unexpectedly on the 21st of November, 1980.
I'm going to stop right there. So before we started, we just got on today and we're going to start, and I'm kind of in this weird kind of like, I wouldn't say panic. I don't know what that was. And so I'm sort of I'm telling Lori, because Lori's like, are you okay? What's going on? And I'm like, well, I've kind of had a long day. Some things happened, nothing too stressful or big, but I was in that, I was just sort of stressed, and that same feeling is coming back. So, yeah, I was placing it on something else because we hadn't started yet. We were just going to watch a video. It's not, if we were doing a clearing, I might say, oh, okay, this is about the clearing. But I think it was this that got me. I was feeling that.
Yeah.
Not quite panic, but stress. Yeah.
Not yourself, that's for sure.
Right. I wasn't. No. Okay. And it's coming back. So I think it's that as I lean in, just sort of that accumulation of everyone, there's just that sort of buzz of panic, of stress, confusion. I don't know where to go. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. They're hearing screams, and I can totally, now it feels the same. Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
So we'll keep going.
Very interesting.
Flamingo, Las Vegas. Great.
The legendary Flamingo Las Vegas is a true landmark on the Strip. This hotel, with its checkered past and links to the mob, is one of the Strip's oldest resorts. Today, the casino and hotel is owned and operated by Caesars Entertainment. But are the management getting more than they bargained for? Who or what haunts this iconic structure? Is it true the Flamingo is haunted by one of the Strip's most famous ghosts? The Flamingo was originally constructed under Billy Wilkerson, the founder of The Hollywood Reporter, Hollywood's first daily entertainment trade newspaper. Wilkerson had already opened a series of night spots on LA's Sunset Strip, but he had visions of creating a similar Sunset Strip in Las Vegas. In 1945, he purchased the land and was keen to take advantage of the legislation of gambling in the state of Nevada. At this time, there was no strip as we know it today, just a handful of hotels dotted along Highway 91. But the truth was, Wilkerson couldn't realise his dream alone. The aftermath of World War II drove up the cost of building materials, and as a compulsive gambler himself, Wilkerson bled his bank account dry. New partners were needed, and mobsters Mo Sedway, Gus Greenbaum, and Bugsy Siegel were brought in.
Mm-hmm.
Siegel, a well-dressed but cold-blooded killer who'd made a fortune in New York as a bootlegger during Prohibition, made himself the on-site boss with the approval of mobster financier Meyer Lansky. The casino was not without its problems. Originally planned as a $1 million resort, building costs quickly escalated to $6 million under the mismanagement by Siegel. Wilkerson was terrified of Siegel and would frequently be absent for weeks at a time, fearing that Siegel wanted him dead. The Flamingo Casino opened on December the 26th, 1946, but it was a complete flop. The hotel rooms were still under construction, so gamblers stayed at nearby rival hotels. A-list celebrities, including Lucille Ball, Ava Gardner, and Veronica Lake, were no-shows to the opening night, and the Flamingo lost roughly $500,000 in the first few days. Shortly after,
You probably don't want to lose money to the mob. I'm just saying. That's probably not a great idea. Not that he meant to, but okay.
Billy Wilkerson was forced out. Despite a series of setbacks, eventually the Flamingo's fortunes began to improve. Publicity was boosted by a string of celebrity visits, including Gary Cooper and Susan Hayward, but Siegel's luck was running out. His actions had created a number of enemies, including the mobsters on the East Coast, who did not see a return on their investments due to the high construction costs. Siegel fell out with his partner, Mo Sedway, and a group of mob investors, headed by Charles Lucky Luciano, decided to meet in Havana to discuss the Flamingo. The finger of blame pointed firmly to Siegel. Not only had he mismanaged much of the construction funds, he'd also stolen some of their money.
Oof.
Meyer Lansky, one of Siegel's oldest friends and a partner on the Flamingo Hotel project, was furious by his friend's deceit, theft, and betrayal. To make matters worse for Siegel, Lansky wasn't the only mobster with a grudge against him. Lucky Luciano had loaned money to help build the Flamingo. Convinced the budget had overrun because it had indeed been skimmed, Siegel's days were numbered. On the 20th of June, 1947, Siegel flew to Los Angeles and returned to his rented home in Beverly Hills. That evening, while Siegel sat on his sofa, a contract killer fired shots through the window and hit Siegel several times, including his head, killing him instantly. Within minutes of the death, his partners, Sedway, Greenbaum, and Morris Rosen, walked into the Flamingo and announced, to the shock of the employees, that Siegel was dead and that they were now in charge. Just a few days earlier, Siegel's girlfriend, Virginia Hill, flew to Paris, and some say she must have been told that the hit was about to happen. Nobody was ever charged with the murder of Siegel, and the crime remains unsolved to this day. The Flamingo opened its 105 rooms as a 3-story hotel, but included a 4th-story penthouse for Siegel, who oversaw the construction of the property. Because he feared for his life, the suite included bulletproof glass and secret tunnels built into the residence in the event that he needed to make an emergency getaway. Although the original buildings of the Flamingo are long gone, and despite efforts at minimising Siegel's association with the resort, Siegel, it seems, refuses to leave the building. His ghost haunts the Flamingo in 2 different locations. A man wearing a smoking jacket has been witnessed on the highest floors, close to the suites. Guests have also heard disembodied voices that sound like somebody in charge, possibly Siegel, is arguing or complaining to a member of staff. Is this the residual energy of Siegel overseeing construction workers or arguing with one of his mob partners? Is he arguing with his girlfriend, Virginia Hill, who may have played a part in organising his death? Although the presidential suite, or Bugsy Suite as it was known, is now gone, rumours suggest that the gold faucets and bathroom fixtures from his apartment are still housed in the Flamingo. Guests say they have awoken to the sounds of whispering, witnessed wardrobe doors opening and slamming shut for no reason, and seen dark shadows looming at the foot of their beds. Numerous members of staff and guests have witnessed the apparition of Siegel over the years. In addition, the solid apparition of a man with a striking resemblance to Siegel has been seen near his memorial. This stone pillar is located in front of the Flamingo habitat and waterfalls, just opposite the wedding chapel. The Bugsy Siegel Memorial commemorates the site where his original Flamingo Hotel stood from 1946 until 1993, containing the famous Bugsy Suite. The plaque also mentions the manner and location of Siegel's death, as well as the many ownership changes to the Flamingo Hotel. A couple from Iowa witnessed a man in a shirt, tie and wool jacket standing near a fountain. They immediately assumed he was a tour guide in a mob-style costume and felt quite sorry for him wearing such heavy clothes in the intense heat, even though it was 10 o'clock at night. As they stared at the man, they realised the other visitors couldn't see him, and one guest walked right through him. The visitor from Iowa commented that it was the scariest thing she and her husband had ever seen. I don't think the woman even saw him. She was posing for a picture and smiling. I'm sure she didn't see him, is how she recorded the incident. In the late 1990s, a couple on their honeymoon at...
I want to stop. There's so much here.
Yeah.
I'm not doubting that he might still be there or that he's still, but he's not traveling all the, there's more than him and they're attributing it to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel that he's running around this place.
No, like having a grand old time smoking his whatever. Yeah.
And I don't believe she had anything to do with his death.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
It's possible. And it's also possible that but she knew something might happen, so she got away, or who knows? I mean, it's not like the mob is going to tell you.
No,
what really happened.
No. Otherwise, it would have leaked by now who killed him.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
yes,
like that's a pretty long time that somebody hasn't said anything. So
right, and I don't know really when the mafia was really. I mean, that was really when it was quite at its fullest, and I mean, it certainly went on for years. But women weren't privy to a lot of information. They didn't. You pretty much you were good for one thing, and that was it. And
exactly.
Yeah. They weren't giving you the inside scoop. Hey, so and so is going to get killed tomorrow. What?
No.
If you knew something, they'd probably kill you for knowing it. So, yeah, that's
because broads are hysterical.
That's right. That's right. Yes. And they were actually, even though most of they were married and they had mistresses, whatever, so they didn't think a lot of, but they didn't bring them into their business.
No,
like, women weren't certainly back then. Yeah,
they were just there for the fur coats.
That's right. And whatever they had to do for those fur coats was up to, but yeah, so it's not just. Could there be residual of him? Sure. Could there be? Could be even. I mean, I don't know. I'm not. I get a little bit.
Hotels have a lot of death that happened to them
Yes.
more than
Yes.
they let people know. And
Yeah. And for all
I mean,
sorts of reasons, but
I
especially
would not want to be one to go in and clean hotel rooms because I would be afraid of what you would come across.
yes. And I've heard there's
And,
some pretty, yeah, some nasty
and
stuff.
to me, that's what probably causes a lot of this, spirits and
And again, there's the lack of grids. So
yes,
there's things coming in throughout the dimensions, even like that person that they saw that was looked like the person was actually standing there, that story that she
yeah,
told, that could have totally been someone from another dimension. Just he was standing wherever he was standing, and he just happened to sort of bleed through his pic, he just sort of bled through.
yeah,
Someone saw him, but it has nothing to do with this lifetime. It's not a ghost or anything. So
yeah,
very interesting. A lot of things, all the drinking and the drugs,
yeah,
and the prostitution.
yeah,
I mean, so much goes on there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of low level, low energy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting though. And I like the way she tells stories. She really did do her homework.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go ahead and keep playing. This one's probably about over too. I did this last time too. I stopped it right before the end. All right.
Flamingo met up with two other couples and sat by the pool one summer evening. They witnessed a man in an old-fashioned burgundy smoking jacket standing near the pool. The figure stared at the women, who all thought it was an odd outfit to wear on a summer's night in Las Vegas. Shortly afterwards, as the men returned from swimming, the bride tried to draw her husband's attention to the mysterious figure, but he vanished.
That could be
The
anything.
following day, she saw a photograph of Bugsy Siegel when reading about the hotel's history and recognised him as the handsome man with the intense eyes she'd seen wearing the smoking jacket the previous evening. Does Siegel's ghost linger because the Flamingo ultimately brought him to his death? Or possibly because he never lived to see how successful his dream hotel and casino would become?
So I just want to stop real quick. Most of the time, people will go back to what brought them the most joy. Like if they're in ghost, if they're in that earthy, or they'll go back. And not that, because there is no joy when you're in earthy. There is no joy. But you can remember liking something. So even though it was very stressful for him being there, and that's what ultimately killed him, I'm sure he was very proud of so much of it.
Like familiar.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
it's,
and there
it's
were
a
years when it was a good thing for him. He
yeah,
had his own suite,
sure.
and he had, he was the big dog. Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't all bad,
mm-mm.
right?
No. All right, so what's the Venetian?
The Venetian Las Vegas is a luxury hotel and casino modelled on the iconic landmarks of Venice. It even has its own canal and gondola rides.
Which I think those actually go through parts of the hotel too.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're actually connected or if it's separate, but you can do a inside.
Boat ride.
Yeah, one of those. Yes, I've heard that. I have not been there, but that's what I heard. All right.
Restaurants, clubs and lounges,
And
as well as
water.
over 11,000 square metres of gaming space. The Venetian opened in May 1999 and stands on the site of the iconic Las Vegas hotel, the Sands, which opened in 1952. This was the seventh hotel on the Strip, but was closed and demolished in 1996.
I get it, but in our country, we just don't keep, I know you're Canada, but in the United States, we just we don't have old historic buildings. We tear everything down.
Nope. Yeah.
We just tear everything down. It's like, they could have kept it there and just restructured, remodeled, redid, but kept it the same. But we just don't do that here. It's really sad. It's really very sad.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say that because
Depends on if you can get it up to code. Sometimes it's more expensive to get something up to code than it is to rip it down and rebuild.
True. It's just so much history gets lost.
Yes. Yeah, I agree.
All right.
Luxurious resort on the Strip in its time, with its lavish features and Italian marble lobby. Famous for its link to Hollywood A-listers, the mob, the Rat Pack, and numerous high-profile entertainers, it seems the residual energy of the sands still remains in the Venetian today. Guests and staff have reported an array of unexplained phenomena at the Venetian. It is not uncommon to hear loud knocks late at night on doors and walls when no one is around. People have heard items being moved in their bathrooms and heard disembodied whispers in the hallways. The ghostly apparition of a woman has been seen walking between guest beds at night in a number of different rooms on the 6th floor. She paces across the bedroom, heads towards the window, and points out before gradually disappearing. Is this the apparition of a former guest, an employee, or even a showgirl from the iconic Sands Hotel? Nobody knows. Like so many hotels in Las Vegas, there are rumours that construction workers died as the hotel was being completed. Reports seem to vary, and it is likely we'll never know the truth, but some claim 2 people were killed, and some suggest up to 7 people lost their lives. A story circulates that a worker became trapped within the walls and remained there for several days before succumbing to exhaustion and starvation. Some say he was finishing off construction on some of the upper floors when he became trapped in the space while sealing off some vents. The tragic apparition of this unlucky soul is blamed for the knocking sounds and moans that come through the vents in various guest rooms.
So I'm going to stop real quick. Do you get anything on that woman? I was sitting here trying to lean into her.
Not so much on the woman. Like, I think she's just like, I get she was a guest.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel the trapped feeling of that person.
Okay. When you
I
get
feel that
that man that got trapped between the walls. What do you want to say any more about that?
I just like, I can feel like his fear and he couldn't get out, like he was completely trapped, and it was not a good. I mean, you're trapped, you die.
Yeah, that would be horrible. A horrific death.
Not a good death.
Yeah.
Not a good death at all.
So with that woman, actually, as I'm sort of leaning, whatever, a guest could have been like a prostitute, something like that, but I think she was murdered.
You think she was murdered?
I think she was murdered. Or could have been like took too many pills, or like it may not have been on. No, I'm gonna bet. No, it might have been on purpose. I'm gonna go with my first hit, and that was it was purposeful. She overheard something, or she stole something. You know, there was something that she did that someone didn't like.
Yeah, I don't get suicide with her at all. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I don't get that she took her life.
All right, here we go.
The most active location at the Venetian seems to be Madame Tussauds. This attraction opened in 1999 and was the first Madame Tussauds venue to open in the United States. Featuring over 100 waxworks of famous celebrities, it also seems home to several ghosts. Many people, including guests and staff, have felt very uncomfortable inside the attraction, and not just because they are being watched by the lifelike wax figures. The attraction seems to be haunted by the echoes of the legendary entertainment nightclub, the Copa Room, a portion of which stood on this site. Noteworthy for the many entertainers who performed there, the Copa Room was the hottest ticket in town. The Sands Hotel manager, Jack Entrata, ran the famous Copa Cabana Club in New York, where his showgirls were known as the Copa Girls. Entrata wanted to replicate the New York club in Las Vegas, and many credit him as the entertainment director for making the Sands the success that it was. The Copa Room became a hit, with 2 shows each evening and a lineup that included the top talent of the day. In 1953, Frank Sinatra made his Sands debut. When Sinatra performed, the Hollywood A-listers would flock to Las Vegas, including Lucille Ball, Desi Arnaz, Judy Garland, and Marilyn Monroe. Very quickly, playing the Copa Room became the pinnacle of a performer's career. In 1957, Sammy Davis Jr. made his debut at the Copa Room, as did Dean Martin as a solo act. In 1959, Dean Martin was on stage at the Copa Room when Frank Sinatra joined him. It was a hit, and a reviewer described it as the best show he'd ever seen at Sands. With the addition of Peter Lawford and Joey Bishop, these 5 men would film Ocean's 11 in the day and appear on the Copa Room stage at night. They eventually became nicknamed the Rat Pack. For months, the show was an absolute sellout. In February 1960, the Sands received over 18,000 requests for its 200 guest rooms. Inside Madame Tussauds, disembodied voices are heard, and the mysterious older figure of a man in overalls has emerged from the restrooms before slowly disappearing. Employees have been tapped on the back of the head by an invisible hand and felt a heavy hand on their shoulder. A man dressed in green trousers and a 1970s-style white shirt has been witnessed ascending the staircase up to the 2nd floor before suddenly disappearing. Is he a guest from the golden days of the Sands? Did he visit the Copa Room or enjoy having a flutter on the casino floor? Guests have heard clearly audible piano and cabaret music.
Stop with that man with the overalls and whatever. I'm not. I don't know what I'm getting. Like yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's reason. I don't know why I'm struggling to lean into him. It feels like someone who, even though he dressed like overalls and whatever, but he had clout or he had money, he had something, and he just likes being there. I can't quite get a hold of exactly what do you left. Do you get something with that?
I just get like tingling all on my scalp on my left-hand side.
Ah, okay.
Like all on, like right here on my head. It's just like.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never had that happen before.
Huh. Okay. Well, is he there with you? Is he coming through? Because there are some of these that I think are actually healed spirits that just kind of
Pop by.
pop by. Yeah.
See what's happening in Vegas now.
Yeah. Crazy. Well, okay. We'll keep going.
Rapturous applause and laughter, and the sounds of glassware and bottles. Do the apparitions of the Rat Pack still linger at Madame Tussauds, where their own figures are forever immortalised in wax? Are these the residual sounds of this once iconic nightclub that propelled Las Vegas into becoming the entertainment capital of the world? To the sounds of the infamous Copa Room, where audiences roared with laughter at the jokes of Sinatra, Martin, and Davis Jr., still resonate through the Venetian Hotel Las Vegas.
Circus Circus.
Circus Circus Las Vegas is located on the northern Las Vegas Strip and opened its casino doors in October 1968. The hotel opened later in 1972 and is home to the largest permanent circus in the world, with trapeze acts and carnival games. With its indoor amusement park, roller coasters, swimming pools and water slides, this hotel was the first family-oriented hotel on the Strip. Plenty of hotel rooms at an affordable price meant that families could enjoy the bright lights of Las Vegas on a budget. With opportunities to gamble, shop, dine and enjoy the entertainment, perhaps it's no surprise that some visitors and employees still lurk within its walls. But behind the thrills and smiles lies something rather sinister: murder, the mob, and shady business practices. Rumours circulate that this hotel has been the site of a number of murders. Stories tell of a double murder in room 123, where a mother murdered her son and then killed herself. Why a mother would commit such a grisly crime, we will never know, but the negative energy and paranormal activity at the hotel suggests the murder has left an indelible...
Because he reminded her of his father who left her, I think is. Or something like, I'm not going to dive too deep in there, but that's what it feels like. And she was obviously had some issues to do something like that to, I mean, for a mother to, yikes. All right, here we go.
On the property. Furniture is said to move by itself. Loud banging sounds are heard behind closed bathroom doors, and the apparition of a small boy stands at the foot of the bed. Piercing loud screams and a child's desperate cry for help can be heard coming from the room and the hallways around it.
I'm going to stop real quick. So I know we've talked about this in other videos, but it's very, very rare to actually see an earthy that's young, a young earthy like that. It's either residual or it's something else posing as a child to get you to want. But the actual earthy, truly, they really are just sort of ushered right over. They're not left in that state. Adults, yes, but it's really, really rare for an actual child to. It happens, yes, it does, but yeah, it's rare. So it could be residual. It could be something posing as the child, because again, they just want attention. So if they can get you to think they're a child to pay attention to them, that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, especially like if people are going in there talking about it and saying, "Is that you?" And they're like, "Yeah."
Exactly. Yes. They're going to make noise. They're going to say, "Whatever, sure, whatever I can do to get you to pay attention to me."
Yeah.
In several rooms, the words "help me" have appeared written in condensation across bathroom mirrors. The pleas of a helpless child still trapped in the moments before his untimely death.
No. That's
Often guests have witnessed it time and time again, looking lost in the halls of the first floor, sobbing loudly, begging for help, and searching frantically for something. He has been observed hand in hand with his own mother, the two of them appearing in the hallways and asking guests if they've seen a man named Robert. Is Robert the name of the boy's father? Is he somehow linked to this tragedy? But as guests tried to speak to the phantom figures, they slowly fade away. When Circus Circus opened, its location was a fair distance from the other strip hotels, and this proved problematic. Many high-stake gamblers were not prepared to travel the distance to it, and its somewhat isolated location became alluring to gangsters and mobsters who were able to conduct their deeds without prying eyes. It struggled financially in its early years, and the owners, Jay Sarno and Stanley Mallin, were investigated for tax code violations and connections to organised crime. Without the big spenders, Circus Circus soon found itself facing bankruptcy. The desperate owners needed help, and this came in the form of a $23 million loan from the Teamsters Pension Fund, which at the time was heavily linked to the American Mafia, particularly the Chicago outfit. To appeal to the high rollers, a new 15-story tower would be built, but the mob wanted to make sure their money was safe. In 1971, a deal was made to add a new name to the business. Ruthless, violent Chicago mobster Anthony Spilotro effectively became the Las Vegas enforcer for the Chicago Mafia. Spilotro was put in charge of the casino's gift shop as a cover for his illegal financial activity. Behind closed doors, he was managing the outfit's multi-million-dollar casino profits, known as the Skin, for both Circus Circus and the other Mafia-owned casinos on the Strip, notably the Stardust, the Fremont, the Hacienda, and the Marina. Spilotro did well for many years, and was rumoured to be responsible for dozens of brutal mob hits in the area, including throwing people out of hotel windows and from the roof of Circus Circus. The FBI suspected him in over 20 murders. He bribed police officers, judges, and shot witnesses, but Spilotro wanted more. He became a loan shark, the boss of a group of pickpockets, and oversaw groups to burgle houses, and even ordered a hit on 2 police officers.
So, I mean, it's known Las Vegas has so many dead people buried there, and like Lake Mead is, as it's drying up, they're finding, they're finding these bones of people, and I mean, we've heard all the stories, we've seen all the, where people are buried in the cement as they're building these things, and I mean, the amount of death there is just crazy, and murder, really. I mean, regular deaths too, but murder. So you're going to have a lot of activity with all of that because it's brutal,
Yeah.
All right. I just had to say something about that.
Without the authorization from his Chicago bosses. He established the notorious hole-in-the-wall gang who blew holes in the brickwork of properties to bypass regular burglar alarms.
Yikes.
But Spilotro's greed and loose cannon actions overstepped the boundaries, putting him on the wrong side of his employers and leading to his own bloody and gruesome murder at the hands of the Chicago outfit itself in June 1986. His body was buried in a shallow grave in a field in Indiana, along with his brother. The apparition of a man with a striking resemblance to Spilotro and dressed in an old-fashioned suit has been seen walking purposefully through the casino floor. There are staff who are sure this is the apparition of Spilotro himself. There has never been a final count of the murders he was responsible for, but it is chilling to think that some may have taken place in and around Circus Circus. Maybe Spilotro himself is restless in death as he reflects on his brutal criminal acts and the lives he took in Las Vegas.
No, he's a psychopath.
A double homicide at Circus Circus was reported in the press in 2018. A couple from Vietnam, who were part of a tourist group out of Los Angeles, were found attacked to death inside their Circus Circus hotel room. They were due to go on a trip to the Grand Canyon. When they didn't show up, a welfare visit was made to their room and they were discovered with fatal wounds.
Oof.
The killings were later ruled for double homicide in what appeared to be a robbery gone wrong. After the tourists were found dead, hotel engineers tested the door's latch and determined it was broken. The engineers ran several tests and found the door wouldn't properly close on its own. The police report indicated that the door could easily have been pushed open. A suspect was arrested after he was caught on CCTV. He had jewellery, a mobile phone, and a backpack belonging to one of the victims in his possession.
So sad.
Sadly, this robbery gone wrong is yet another tragic incident at Circus Circus Las Vegas.
Well, all the money, all the drugs and the alcohol and all of that stuff, I'm surprised there's not more death to I don't know how many people go there every year, but it has to be hundreds of thousands, right? I mean, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, if you have like a gambling addiction, then you run out of money, you're going to be looking for money.
Yes, you are.
Right.
Yes. And just
there's a lot of mental health issues there. They actually, they have like, it's an underground that is all of homeless people that they actually have like there's people running it like a mayor and there's it's pretty bad.
Yeah. And there's sex trafficking.
I
mean, anything you can think of that's just horrible that people do to other people, that that people taking advantage of, it's happening there. So even without the murder, just that energy.
Yeah.
And and people get caught up in it.
Well, if you can sell and buy anything, it's gonna be there, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Oh.
Okay, this is the last one. Hotel Apache, I
Hotel
believe.
Apache is located at Binion's Gambling Hall at Fremont Street in downtown Las Vegas. It was opened in 1932 by the Silvani family, who came to Las Vegas as a cement supplier for the Hoover Dam. The family recognized that the contractors needed a place to get away from the heat and the hard work of this mammoth construction project in the desert, and Hotel Apache was the first hotel in Las Vegas to have air conditioning. But this hotel, with its 81 rooms, has a reputation for being one of the most haunted hotels in Las Vegas. In 1951, the hotel and casino was bought by the notorious American career criminal Benny Binion, and the apparition of Binion and his wife Teddy Jane are said to haunt the rooms above the casino floor. The apparition of Teddy Jane is also said to be responsible for strange activity in the casino's cashier's cage, where she worked for many years and kept the books. Binion had a formidable reputation. His criminal career began at 18, when he became part of a Prohibition moonshine outfit. In 1931, he was convicted of shooting and killing a rival gang member named Frank Bolding, but his attorney argued that he did this in self-defense. The court was told Bolding threatened Binion with a knife, but this was not true. Binion's quick-draw pistol skills led to the nickname the Cowboy. Binion went on to establish illegal gambling operations in Dallas-Fort Worth in Texas. In 1936, he shot and killed a gambling rival in a turf war in Dallas, and yet again Binion got off lightly, arguing it was self-defense. A long-running feud with a gambling rival, Herbert Noble, nicknamed the Cat, who double-crossed Binion a number of times, led to Binion posting a reward on Noble's life. Binion tried to have Noble killed 11 times, and Noble's wife ended up being killed in a car bomb intended for Herbert.
11 times.
Noble was so outraged by this, he planned to fly his private plane to Las Vegas and bomb Binion's house, but the plot was intercepted. However, in 1951, as Noble drove up to his mailbox, it exploded and killed Noble instantly. Binion kept his cowboy image all his life, wearing cowboy hats and shirts, and being armed with a pistol during his time in Las Vegas. He had a reputation for being generous to his patrons. He offered limousine rides, complimentary drinks for gamblers, a $2 steak special, and replaced the sawdust floor with luxurious carpet. Hotel Apache is not afraid of its haunted reputation. Staff have collected paranormal encounters as told by guests, such as the child's laughter heard next to room 246, the unwelcoming and mischievous spirit in room 263, or the terrifying poltergeist who causes chaos in room 373.
Okay, I want to stop with this. Another something we talk about a lot is poltergeist. It's the poltergeist is typically, I'm going to say typically, created by a human person, someone that has a lot of energy, and that energy sort of manifests outside of the person. This can also, it's rarer, but it can happen. An earthy can, or an entity can create one as well, which is really a kind of bizarre thing. But when people like this say there's a poltergeist, and it's like, no, it's probably just something in there moving stuff around, or stuff around. Like but we attribute it, we say poltergeist, meaning things are flying around and things. Yeah.
I think people think that a spirit that can, like, chuck something across the room is just automatically labeled a poltergeist.
Yes, I agree.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, is there a spirit in that room possibly doing that? I mean, I had one that would turn the TV on me all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not a poltergeist.
Right? No, he was just a goof.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I just wanted to say that because that word came up, the P word. So
yeah, people like to use it.
Yeah, way too much.
Could one of these spirits be that of taxi driver Marvin Shoemate, who likely fell victim to Binion's revenge? Shoemate was involved in the kidnapping plot of Ted Binion, Benny's youngest son. Ted, who was regarded as Binion's favourite, became the victim of a scheme devised by two taxi drivers looking for a significant ransom. Shoemate was one of the drivers, and his unnamed accomplice tipped Benny off. Shoemate's body was discovered by a couple at the base of Sunrise Mountain, with 2 shotgun wounds, one in the chest and one in the head. The murder in December 1967 was never officially solved, but many are convinced it was on Binion's orders. Security guards patrolling the hotel during renovations would hear a man and woman arguing behind a closed bedroom door, despite the hotel being completely empty. Shadowy figures have been seen on the staircases, and guests have felt an unseen figure brush past them rather suddenly. Pictures in heavy frames have been known to fall off the wall in the night, and guests have fled in terror. In room 279, a member of housekeeping mopped the bathroom floor and then went to change the bed. When she looked in the bathroom again, there were prominent footprints on the floor she'd just cleaned. Other members of staff and guests have had their hair pulled and heard furniture moving in the room when it is vacant and locked.
That's just an angry jackass. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? That's just someone who's not happy, and probably more than one. You know, and then they feed off your fear, and they feed off the anger, and they think it's funny, and they think it's whatever. And I'll bet there's people in between that nothing happens at all. You know, it's not like every time someone stays in that room, it's one of those, yeah. But that's just someone that's really pissed. But as enjoyment as you can get, that's how they enjoy scaring people, and they're just angry.
They don't have much to do, right? So
no. Right.
Televisions and radios come on when unplugged, and the sound of vintage big band music blares out in the middle of the night. Staff and guests have reported seeing solid figures walk out of a wall on the left side of the corridor and walk through the opposite wall on the right. People have heard doors slamming in empty rooms and the sounds of guests trying to open the windows, even though they are sealed shut. Guests have found objects in their room to have been moved, and one guest reported having her smartphone thrown across the room at her from a flat surface.
I'd be angry at that.
Yeah.
Kitchen staff have reported extreme cold spots and believe a walk-in fridge is said to harbour a demonic entity. Some staff refuse to set foot in there, and others have quit with no plausible explanation. So
cold spots can just be lack of grids. I mean, there's all sorts of things. People like to attribute that to, I mean, we've debunked that so many times, and I think other people you would think they would stop with that, but it's still a thought that it's an entity or something there that's cold like that. Who knows what they mean by demonic? It could just be a really angry dude, like something else. I don't know.
Demonic, just like it's a poltergeist. So
right, exactly, yeah. All right, it makes me want to go there though. But okay, here we go.
I'm supposed to be going there next year. So
are you? Oh,
I hopefully, yeah.
Take some video. Okay.
Physically pushed into equipment and even received burns from losing their balance. Poltergeist activity is common, with trays and dishes being flung with force and falling on the floor. Staff have been told to get out by a menacing voice.
Let me just
The hotel was built over 3 floors, but there is a secret penthouse on the 4th floor that is hidden away. This room is known as room 400, and many guests have reported paranormal activity in this secluded space. There's this feeling of one of those, I don't know, just lost so much money. So much money. And I don't know what happened, how they died, whatever, but you can just feel the anger because they're stuck in, as they are, that anger that things didn't go the way they wanted or whatever.
I'm sure, well, the despair of all that also could also make somebody make a decision as to ending their life too.
Yes,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean? Like they've lost it all. That is the despair that I feel.
Yeah.
But
They couldn't face going back to their family or
yeah, or
whatever it is.
everything that they lost.
Yes.
It's gone,
They have nowhere to
right?
go now. They have nothing, and it's all because they gambled it away.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that really that gives me chills of
A
that.
lot of people lose everything.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
people.
It's a bad addiction, you
Oof.
know. It's
Yeah.
really awful addiction.
Celebrities, including Clark Gable, Humphrey Bogart, and Lucille Ball, would use this room to maintain their privacy away from the other guests. The door has the same keycard activated lock as the rest of the guest rooms, but for some reason, the lock on this penthouse is troublesome. The management have replaced this lock 8 times. Once the lock is installed on the door, it stops working. Engineers have examined and inspected it and found there is nothing physically wrong with the lock. But for some reason, on this door, it refuses to work. Strange things seem to be afoot at Hotel Apache. Would you be brave enough to stay there?
Yes. No. Yes. No. Not sure. I don't know. Oh, another one. Oh, postscript. Okay. Okay. Well, that was an interesting video. Very interesting. So much going on in Las Vegas. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been there, but it's been years, just years since I've been there. It's so different today than,
I'll bet. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, even you look at those pictures from the 40s and you're like,
I know.
there's nothing there.
I know. There's a lot there now from what I hear.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not sure if there's anything else to say. I think we said it all during the video. Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for, I'm so bad at remembering who requested videos, and I'm so sorry, but whoever you are, thank you. Thank you for requesting this. It was really fun. Please subscribe, like, share, leave your comments too. We'd love to hear your comments.
Yeah. If you had anything scary happen to you in Vegas, let us know.
Yes, yes, please. Yes. Love those kind of stories. All right. Well, see you next time. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed these stories from the Las Vegas Strip and what a haunted place Las Vegas seems to be. There are so many stories from Las Vegas as an area, as well as some other locations in the state of Nevada. Let me know in the comments if you'd like me to cover some more stories from the region in the future. If we just go back to the Flamingo for a moment, the Flamingo received its unique name directly from Bugsy Siegel. The Flamingo referred to Siegel's girlfriend, Virginia Hill, whose nickname was the Flamingo due to her long legs and red hair, and she was the girlfriend who flew off to Paris just before he was murdered. I did read a great article about Bugsy Siegel and Liberace, which I thought was quite interesting, so I'm going to put it in the video here. Back in 1948, Liberace was in his late 20s and was really turning heads with his extraordinary musical talent, and he was playing at the Last Frontier Hotel, and at that time he was on $1,500 a week, and Bugsy Siegel really wanted him to come across to the Flamingo, but Liberace was quite happy where he was at the Last Frontier and didn't really want to go. But people said to him, this is Bugsy Siegel, you might want to do as he says. But just a few days later, Bugsy Siegel was shot and killed. So Liberace didn't have to make the transition over to the Flamingo for Bugsy. So I thought we'd have a look at Bugsy Siegel's death certificate. He was 41 when he died in 1947. The cause of death is cerebral hemorrhage due to gunshot wounds to the head, and his address of his usual residence is the Flamingo Hotel. I did see that the house where he was murdered in Beverly Hills was on the market last year for $17 million, and I'm assuming it would have sold because it's prime real estate. But my question to you is, would you be happy to live in a house where someone has been murdered? I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments section below. Another story connected to the Flamingo is the death of an Australian rules footballer who died at the hotel in 2012, and his name was John Shane McCarthy, and he was only 22 when he died. He came from a very sporty family, and McCarthy died on September the 9th, 2012, after falling 9 metres from a rooftop at the Flamingo Hotel. The incident occurred at the start of the post-season holiday for McCarthy and the other Port Adelaide players. And it was a really tragic incident. They'd only been in Las Vegas for just a few hours. And my understanding is that it was a tragic accident and that the police said Mr. McCarthy had attempted to jump off a roof onto a palm tree, but slipped and fell to the ground. I think there was certainly alcohol involved, and some news reports suggest drugs were available. But it's so sad that his life was over so soon. Let's go back to the Rat Pack for a moment. You may or may not know about Frank Sinatra's complete meltdown in 1967. So this happened at the Sands and led to Sinatra ending his contract with the hotel and moving over to Caesar's Palace instead. So Howard Hughes back in the day wanted to marry Ava Gardner, but she went and married Frank Sinatra in 1951, and apparently Hughes was upset over this. Even though Ava Gardner and Frank Sinatra divorced in 1957, some speculate that there was some tension between Hughes and Sinatra. So in the 1960s, Howard Hughes went on a massive spending spree in Las Vegas, and he bought the Sands, the Frontier, the Silver Slipper, Castaways, the Landmark Hotel and Harold's Club in Reno. And Hughes became the biggest employer in the state and did much to drive the mafia out of the city. One of the first things he did was cancel Frank Sinatra's credit, and Frank went absolutely mad. He was furious. Apparently he jumped onto a gambling table and began screaming. Then he threw a chair at the casino manager, who responded by punching Frank Sinatra in the face, causing him to lose 2 teeth. And then Frank Sinatra decided to exit the casino by driving a golf buggy through the window. And that is Frank Sinatra's meltdown. And after this incident, Sinatra was finished with the Sands. And can you imagine witnessing that incident? What a drama queen. I read that the golden age of the Rat Pack pretty much ended when Kennedy was shot. The mood in the country changed quite a bit, and Dean Martin went to the Riviera, Sinatra went to Caesar's Palace, and the Copa Room basically began to decline in popularity. And then when the Mirage opened in 1989, it was revolutionary. It was a mega resort with 3,000 rooms, and the likes of the Sands, which initially opened with 200 rooms and then expanded to 715 rooms, just couldn't compete with these new mega resorts, and the building boom of the 90s began. The building is still continuing to this day, and I read recently that the Tropicana has closed and is due to be imploded in the autumn of 2024 to make way for a new baseball stadium and a Bally's hotel. So I think Las Vegas is one of those places, it's always changing, it's always growing, and it is probably unrecognisable to many people who have been there in the past. I received a wonderful email from a lady called Dina, and I did ask permission to read this out, so she consented. I'm going to read it out to you now. I worked in the front desk phone room at the Flamingo Hotel and Casino for about a year in 2004. We were the ones that answered the calls for housekeeping and maintenance, and I was on the graveyard shift with one other girl. There was a long phone desk divided by little desktop cubicles with a station on each side of the desk, about 10 or 12 stations in all. There was a certain point in the night where one of us would take our lunch break and the other would be alone, and it could sometimes get overwhelmingly busy. If we were lucky, our manager might be able to spare a check-in agent to come back and help out. There were several occasions where I was super busy answering the phones and saw someone come in and sit down at one of the desks on the opposite side from me, and I thought, oh thank God, they've sent help. As soon as the phone slacked off, I'd stand up to thank that person, but no one was there. This would also sometimes happen with both of us there if it was busy, but not as often. There were a couple of times I'd be talking with my co-worker since there were no calls coming in, and the office door would slam shut. We assumed the manager did it because we were getting too loud, so my co-worker opened the door and said, "Sorry." The manager said, "For what?" "For being too loud. You closed the door." The manager said, "I didn't close the door. I thought you guys did." And apparently that had happened on other shifts as well. One of the girls that got off work around the time I started had an experience that really freaked her out one night. To get to the employee parking garage, you had to walk past an old payroll office which had big picture windows like a bank teller or ticket booth, and she noticed a cleaning lady in there vacuuming. She realised the uniform looked like an old style and she didn't actually hear the vacuum, so she looked up and directly at the woman and she disappeared into thin air. She always ran past the office and refused to look at it after that. Goodness, that sounds quite scary. Of course, I'm sure you know the Flamingo was built by the gangster Bugsy Siegel. Well, back when I was there, we had a housekeeping inspector named Miss Daisy who had worked there ever since the hotel had opened. She was basically kept on as a kindness because everyone knew she was the sort of person who would lack purpose if she were forced to retire and die shortly afterwards. Most of the other staff did her work for her and let her do what she could manage. However, I mention Miss Daisy because she saw Mr. Siegel, as she called him, he hated to be called Bugsy, quite regularly when she worked. I figured no one would know better than her since she knew him in life. And I just want to say a massive thank you to Dina for taking the time to share those brilliant stories and experiences and for contacting me. That was ever so kind of you. Thank you. The next thing I have for you is a leaflet from the late 1980s, I believe, from Circus Circus. Now, I'm not going to read the whole leaflet out for you. I will put the stills of the images on Instagram if you want to zoom in and have a good read of it. I just wanted really to look at the pictures, and it does look quite an 80s leaflet, in my opinion. I particularly like the photographs on the left-hand side here. That one at the top, I remember when I was a child in the 80s having school dinners, we had plates that looked a bit like that with different compartments. I'm not sure you'd get anything quite like that in Las Vegas. It does look rather 80s, doesn't it, with the parsley? And then I love that couple down the bottom. I wonder if they're on a date. And she's got huge hair and he looks quite 80s, I suppose. But it's a great leaflet, and I love the pictures of the circus acts as well. Catch our acts under the big top. And then on that right-hand side, win this car. I wonder if anybody ever did actually win a car, or whether it was just a way of selling tickets, but no car was involved. Have you ever stayed at Circus Circus? I wonder if it's a hotel that you've visited in the past. This is a British Airways menu from 1998, from London across to the United States. It may have been from Las Vegas, I'm not absolutely sure. So we've got prawns and scallops with anchovy fillets, tomato and baby onions and black olives. This is quite a comprehensive menu, I think. You know, you've got 4 appetizers to choose from, salads, and then for your main course you can have fillet steak. Goodness me, I wouldn't have thought you could do a fillet steak on a plane. Or salmon or chicken or a vegetarian pasta. And then rhubarb crumble tart, fresh fruit, and Scottish oat cakes and cheese. I'm always going to stay away from cheese. And there's a little wine list as well for you to have a look at. I hope you enjoy this menu. And then I've just got one little postcard from 1971, when I should imagine the strip looked rather different to how it does today. Darling Jay, we were at the Stardust Hotel last night and your mummy was not allowed into the one entertainment lounge because she could not prove she was 21. A big hug and kiss from Mum and Dad. They are very strict, aren't they, in America about ID? They ID'd me, they ID'd Mr. GC, even though he's much older. But yes, I thought that was quite a nice little postcard. So I just want to say a massive thank you again to Dina. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Take care, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. And don't forget to come and find me on Instagram. Take care.